Hello there, this is James and you're watching Tixee Live. And very good morning to all of you and a very happy Tuesday to you all. In today's program, I want to discuss a story which we've been talking about a lot over the last couple of weeks because we've had a new development today and a certain meeting in Brussels, which I think could be a potential to cause a lot of uncertainty. As well as that, I want to talk about a US giant retailer and how they've spooked the market and a couple other things happening today. But before we get into that, don't forget, these little videos are for educational purposes only and in no way whatsoever should ever be taken as financial advice. I always suggest you do your own research and do your own due diligence. And of course, know the risks at hand before entering any trade. With that out the way, let's get started because there's quite a fair bit to go through. So anyway, here we go again. More about the energy crisis in Europe. Because today, Russia announced it's going to cut Nord Stream 1 supply down to 20% of capacity from tomorrow onwards. It came back online last week. Don't forget, it came back online on the 21st of July. And during that time, was able to supply 40% of its capacity. It's now dropped it down to 20% of capacity. The reason being, again, is we sort of expected this, to be honest. We sort of discussed this. Russia did warn this because they say the reason for this is they're saying it's down to maintenance again because they're missing a turbine for one of the lines, which is held up in Canada due to obviously sanctions against Russia. Germany's finance minister has actually said there's no technical issues whatsoever for this pipeline to be shut down. So again, this is mainly a part of, leverage over the EU that Putin has. As you remember as well, I've said this before, the reason why it's such a big thing is that obviously Russia supplied the EU with 40% of its gas last year. And as you know, Germany has gone into stage 2 of its emergency gas program because that's seriously undersupplied. Now, today, there's a meeting in Brussels, a very important meeting in Brussels, which I think is going to be very interesting because the European Commission has urged countries to cut gas consumption by 15% for the next 7 months. And these energy ministers are going to meet today in Brussels to try and sign off these plans. But under the proposal, okay, the voluntary target could be mandatory in case of an emergency. So don't forget, all 27 members have to agree with this to actually come into action. Now, resistance is expected from many EU members about this because there are several countries who feel that their overall consumption is less greedy than other member states. Okay, Spain, for example, they said they live within their means as opposed in relation to gas, their gas usage. They live within their means with gas usage compared to other member states who are slightly more greedier. I don't know who they could potentially mean by that. The other thing about this, okay, and the other thing this is gonna be a bit of a potential barn burner, I think, with this, is that really the country which is the most under threat, there's quite a few countries humongously under threat in the Eastern Europe section, okay? But one of the major countries who's under threat with this is Germany. Germany is in serious trouble in relation to this issue. And there are some nations are going to, like Spain, like Portugal, like Italy, who are going to say 11 years ago, or over 11 years ago, we had a huge debt crisis. And where were you in helping us with this debt crisis? I know you have lent us some money at very high rates, but where were you? Where was this all for one and one for all mentality then? Now that you're in trouble, you want us all to be all together and united on this. So that is an interesting thing. It's going to be interesting to see what comes out of this meeting. I don't blame some of those states either for feeling that way. but it should be interesting. But of course, this is a huge, huge issue. And like I say, there's more for it to come, especially as, okay, we're in the summer now, but in a couple of months' time, it will be winter. So winter is indeed coming. So that's the thing. In other news, okay, Walmart, US giant retailer, biggest retailer in the world, in fact, has warned over its profits for a second time since May. Back in May, they warned that their profits wasn't so good as they expected. But they're now, in such a short space of time, within 2 months, they're doing it again. The company actually expects its profits to fall by as much as 13% this year. 13% this year. Okay. And basically, in a nutshell, what that means is that actually, I'll do a quote from the Walmart CEO, Doug McMillon. And he said this news came out after the market had closed, by the way. I will have a quick look at Walmart's price because it's a bit shocking. It doesn't show it because it's closed when he said this. But he said the increasing levels of food and fuel inflation are affecting how customers spend. On the back of that, and the back of this warning that their profits are expected to drop by 13%, in after-hours trading, the firm's stock price slumped by 9%. By 9%. Okay, which is pretty shocking. I'll pull them up in a minute. Okay, but the problem with this, with Walmart, is again, it's feeding recession fears once again. We'll talk a little bit more about that again in a moment. Let's have a quick look at this. Quickly bring up Walmart. Okay, now this doesn't show. Like I say, this statement and this information came out after the market closed. So as you see, the market closed with Walmart around about $131.81. After hours, it slumped to 9%. So it's going to be really interesting to see it. I think it's around about 9% would make it $118. So when the market reopens with the US session, be interesting to see how big of a gap it actually is when it opens and how much more dramatic a potential fall could be for this stock. So we'll have to look at that on the market open. But like I say, this has really given a lot of recession fears again to the market, because if a big retailer like this can come under a huge amount of pressure, what does it say for the rest? Let's see how the market stands across the board. Let's have a quick look at the euro. The euro hasn't completely reacted that much to this gas issue yet. But like I said, I think a lot of this was expected. Currently trading slightly under pressure, cannot break that key level of 1.02684. Currently trading around about the 100-day moving average of 1.0204. So let's see how it pans out for the rest of the day with this more. We get more about this this news story about the gas and how this meeting in Brussels go. The cable performing slightly better than the euro. Slightly better above the euro. It is trading above that level we've been watching for a long time, 1.20034. There's a lot of political instability with this pair at the moment, because don't forget, the UK is going through a leadership battle to who becomes the next UK Prime Minister. So that's leading to a little bit of uncertainty. But for now, the blue on blue attacks, the two members attacking each other to become leader, it's not taking too much of the time of the market at the moment, but we never know how much that might start focusing the mind of the market soon. Dollar yen is slightly back off slightly sideways, as we would understand it would be at the moment. Don't forget, the market is going to be a little bit range bound in general as we wait for what's happening tomorrow, which I'll talk about a little bit more about that later, obviously. But currently trading at 136.594. If you look at on a slightly longer period of time, as you can see, still very much dollar strength against the Japanese yen, which we would expect with the lack of action from the BOJ. US S&P 500 currently futures currently sideways as well, 3,156 points, and obviously oil, because of this gas issue, has managed to find a little bit of a bounce. Currently trading now at $97.92. So it's not good news for us who buy petrol for our cars. Gold is pretty much exactly where we left it yesterday. Currently trading around that key level of 1,727, just below it, $1,723. So yeah, we need to keep a close eye on that. It's trying desperately to break through that level. But as I said before, though we have got high interest rates and we have had a strong dollar, certainly over the last couple of trading sessions, the more and more information we get recession fears, I do think gold will start really getting its shine back. So we need to keep a close eye on the yellow metal. So yeah, that's how the market stands at the moment. What else we got coming up? On the back of Walmart, obviously we got a massive day for earnings, because obviously later we have Alphabet, which is Google, to announce their earnings today, but that's after the market close. So it's going to be interesting to see how it is tomorrow. The question with Alphabet and Google, are they going to go the same way as Snap Incorporated and Twitter? Because both those two firms, who like Google, rely heavily on online advertising, missed their estimated profit targets due to the fact the slowdown in online advertising. So Google, will it same thing happen to Google? And Google is gigantic compared to Twitter and Alphabet. On other matters as well, of course, Microsoft comes out today as well. So that would be pretty interesting to see how Microsoft is performing, and other major events for this week and for today. Today, we have US durable goods, US consumer confidence, and new home sales. Now, I might go on a little bit later this afternoon because they come out around about 2 p.m. UTC. So I might go on around about that time so we can have a look at those statements, what the consumer confidence is. That's going to be really interesting. See how confident the US consumer is. And new home sales. Remember, I talked briefly yesterday about a potential housing crisis. So we will be watching. I might watch those events with you today. So I think that might be quite interesting. But as well as that, we've got coming up, of course, the big one, the Fed interest rate decision tomorrow, potentially massive. The Fed monetary statement, of course, Germany CPI, US GDP, which I will be doing a watch along with, German GDP, EU GDP, and EU CPI, which again, I will be doing a watch along with those two events as well. As the markets stand, of course, as well as that, of course, earnings again, Alphabet today, Microsoft today, Meta tomorrow, Apple on the 28th, and Amazon on the 28th. As the markets currently stand, the FTSE slightly higher, 0.57%, DAX currently trading slightly higher, negative 0.35%, and Eurostoxx 50 currently trading at 0.11% higher. Don't forget, you can ask me questions anytime you wish. This is what I'm here for. Or simply say hello if you like. And like I always say as well, if you think of a question later, you put it in the comments below, either in the comments in YouTube or the comments in Facebook. I will see it and I will reply to those questions next time I'm live on air. So do bear in mind that option. So like I said, I will be back online again late this afternoon. I probably go on about maybe 1:45 p.m. UTC, just so that basically we can maybe watch the US consumer confidence come in together and see the impact of that on the market. Like it's sort of like a mini watch along, not quite like a watch along, but like a mini watch along. So I might do it for that because I think those two and the new home sales will be quite interesting to watch to see how it is, especially US consumer confidence, because I think the expectation is for it to come in pretty shocking. So let's watch it and see how the market reacts to that. So yeah, I'll let you know. I will schedule it. So obviously you'll see when I'm going on live. So bear in mind that as well. Okay, if there is no questions or no comments, don't forget, like I say, I'll see you later again this afternoon. But remember, if you're watching me on Facebook and you quite enjoyed this episode, by all means, give us a follow. If you're watching me on YouTube and you've enjoyed this little episode, subscribe if you'd like. Hit the notification button so you know next time I'm going live. If you enjoyed this little video and found it interesting and useful, and you put up with me, my over-the-top enthusiasm about the markets, which I just simply cannot help because I love the markets, give me one of those. It's nice to know, or it's nice to see that you like what I do. Anyway, till next time, remember, these little videos are for educational purposes only, and in no way whatsoever should ever be taken as financial advice. I always suggest you do your own research and do your own due diligence. And of course, know the risks at hand before entering any trade. Till next time, every single one of you, trade safe.